The world is hard and cruel, so now I'm going to be hard and cruel. If people see weakness or vulnerability, they're going to hurt me. And what the Guardians are telling him is, not with us. Rocket starts innocent and good. His journey mirrors real-life trauma journeys, traveling from victim to survivor, to advocate, and then to hero.
All these guys are broken. If we can save Rocket, maybe we can be saved.
This episode was filmed during the writers and actors strike. Without their labor, our show wouldn't exist. We support their strike efforts. If you'd like to support them as well, go to www.entertainmentcommunity.org and donate.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist who loves movies. That is...
Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker who needs therapy. And today we're joined by...
Brandon Mull, a novelist.
A novelist.
A novelist. He's being modest. World-renowned, world-famous novelist, and my son's favorite author.
The global phenomenon Fablehaven. If you haven't checked it out, you should check it out. Especially,
really good.
Especially if you're a parent. Holy crap. My son loves you.
Oh,
by the way.
Thanks, that's great. Yeah, if you want magical creatures, secret wildlife parks for magical creatures, I can provide that.
We are honored to have you with us today because we're going to be talking about Rocket Raccoon, which was actually your choice. We wanted to have you on the show. We said, who do you want to talk about? And you said Rocket. As a storyteller, like his story and his arc intrigues you. And so we're going to want you to contribute your thoughts on writing an arc like this and developing a character like this, as well as just anything you have to say about these films in general.
Yeah. Rocket hit hard for me, so yeah, we'll have a good time.
This is a Psychology of a Hero episode. We're going to be exploring Rocket's entire arc, focusing on connection and healing after trauma. So let's do this thing.
Whoa! What are you doing? This vermin speaks of affairs he knows nothing about. That is true. He has no respect. That is also true. Keep calling me vermin, tough guy. You just want to laugh at me like everyone else.
Rocket, you're drunk, all right? No one's laughing at you.
He thinks I'm some stupid thing. He does. Well, I didn't ask to get made. I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over and turned into some little monster.
Rocket, no one's calling you a monster.
He called me vermin. She called me rodent. Let's see if you can laugh after 5 or 6 good shots to your frickin'
No, 4 billion units! Rocket! Come on, man. Hey, suck it up for one more lousy night and you're rich.
I love everything emotionally that's happening in that scene.
This is my favorite moment of accountability in a movie ever. And Alan knows I've got an accountability kink. Like, accountability is everything. And when he says, this vermin speaks of affairs he knows nothing about.
That is true. He has no respect. That is also true.
That has become with my kids. If we're calling them out on their behavior, instead of fighting back, they just say, that is true. This scene plays so differently once you've seen the third film.
Yeah.
There's a whole movie's worth of stuff to unpack there with I didn't ask to get made.
Yeah.
Well, and then finding out the circumstances of how he was, because it plays well in this scene, not having the context of like, I didn't, get torn apart and put back together and torn it over and over again. Like, that sounds horrifying. But then you see it.
Yes.
And you see his friends and what was happening to them. And it's just like,
oh. Yeah, this summarizes what the other one dramatized. Right?
Yeah.
And let us fully live it. He comes into the world so innocent.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's make him smart and then let's torture him. That's the human experience a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You come in innocent, we educate you, then we torture you. And then you try to land it,
That is both the human and raccoon experience.
Right, Groot? Good.
And I can't tell you, there's so many movies there where when you finally get the backstory and the mystery is lost, it's actually kind of disappointing.
A bit of a letdown.
Like X-Men Origins Wolverine, when they finally show it, they don't nail it, and it retroactively makes what came before it weaker.
Yeah.
Or Spider-Man 3, when it's like, oh, guess what? He wasn't the one who killed your uncle, it was this guy. And it's like, oh, that kind of dilutes that moment.
Yeah, don't make it mean less. Don't make it mean less.
Guardians 1 and 2, there's so many moments, as we'll explore in this episode, that are so much more powerful after Guardians 3.
That was a pretty good plan.
Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring this episode. Tired of the same old Starship rations? Factor Factor has 34 different, unique meal options to choose from to satisfy your human food consumption needs. This week, I've got Peanut Buddha Bowl, Cheesy Bacon Ranch Shredded Chicken, and I Am Groot. When I'm busy with an edit or prepping for our next shoot, it's great to not have to worry about meal planning, prep, or cleanup. I can just open this box and 2 minutes later I'm stuffing my gob happily. And if you're too busy running around guarding the galaxy to think about lunch, keep your energy up with Lunch to Go, easy nutritious meals like grain bowls and salad toppers that are ready to eat. No microwave or med pack decryption needed. Or do you want to get as strong as Drax the Destroyer? Or at least get a boost on the way to your wellness goals? Try Protein Plus meals with 30 grams of protein or more per serving. That's a lot of protein and a lot of destruction.
I am Groot.
Factor also has more than 45 add-ons like breakfast options, smoothies, juices, and a whole lot more. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code CINEMATHERAPY50 to get 50% off your first Factor meal delivery unit. Box. It's a box. Factor, the sci-fi space food of tomorrow, today.
I like to say in my therapy work that underneath all anger is a vulnerable emotion that's buried or hidden, because we don't like to be vulnerable. It doesn't feel safe. We would rather lead with anger. The problem with anger is that it pushes people away, which Rocket's been doing for a long time. Groot models for him unity. We are Groot, right? Groot sacrifices for the team. And Rocket starts to see that this group of people, or aliens or humanoids, whatever you would call them, are a new family. They're people who aren't trying to hurt him, who aren't trying to abuse him. They're rough around the edges like he is, but at the same time, there's a real community there, which also is stronger after you see the third film, because he used to have that, and he hasn't for a long time, right? Rocket grabs the Infinity Stone. He's willing to sacrifice himself with everybody, and there's this tremendous arc just in the first film. And after Groot dies, Drax sits next to him as Rocket's crying, and starts to pet him, right? And I love the moment where Rocket kind of sits up stiff because he thinks he's being treated like condescendingly, like a little pet again, and he realizes that's not what this is. Right. It's just this really sweet moment. I love it. Characters can take steps forward, but they inevitably...
If they're written well, they're going to backslide.
Yeah.
And yeah, Rocket has, in a lot of ways moved forward, but nobody's perfect.
And Yondu's going to call Rocket out on his bullcrap.
What the hell you doing, boy?
I can tell by how you talked about him. This ego's bad news. We're here to save Quill.
For what? Huh? For honor? For love?
No, I don't care about those things. I want to save Quill so I can prove I'm better than him. I can lord this over him forever. What are you laughing at me for?
You can fool yourself and everyone else, but you can't fool me. I know who you are.
You don't know anything about me, loser.
I know everything about you. I know you play like you're the meanest and the hardest, but actually you're the most scared of all.
Shut up!
I know you steal batteries you don't need, and you push away anyone who's willing to put up with you, because just a little bit of love reminds you how big and empty that hole inside you actually is.
I said shut up!
I know them scientists what made you never gave a rat's ass about you.
I'm serious, dude!
Just like my own damn parents who sold me, their own little baby, into slavery. I know who you are, boy, because you're me.
What kind of a pair are we?
The kind that's about to go fight a planet, I reckon.
All right, okay, good. Wait, fight a what?
That's a strong scene.
The thing I love about James Gunn is the way he takes things that you expect from the sci-fi genre and flips them on their head and makes them weird and silly and gross. Groot vomits tree vomit.
Yeah, sap or whatever.
Whatever it is. And then, this big emotional scene leading up to, we're going to fight a planet, I reckon. And then Rocket, the toughest hombre in the universe, goes,
fight a what?
Yeah.
Thank you, James Gunn, for murdering us.
That's for if things get really hardcore.
When it's so fun to watch Yondu just hitting Rocket with who he really is and what's true about him, that's hard. Nobody wants to hear that.
Right.
Like the stuff that you're trying to suppress, the stuff that you're trying to hide about yourself. No one wants that named.
Yeah.
And like that could have gone really bad. But then when he's able to say, I'm you, that's why I see it. Because I'm you. Mm-hmm. And then as the audience, you kind of go, oh, maybe I'm that too. You know, like maybe, where can I link into that, right?
Well, that's the power of stories, is we experience vicariously these journeys that help us in our own growth.
Right.
And I see with Rocket, this is a common trauma response, which is the world is hard and cruel. I wanted it to be tender and loving, but it's hard and cruel. So now I'm going to be hard and cruel.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show up like the toughest, meanest, because if people see weakness or vulnerability, they're going to hurt me. And that's what's happened to Rocket before. But what Yondu is telling him and what the Guardians are telling him is not with us. Like, yeah, we'll give you crap. Like, none of us are especially sentimental people, but we're going to love you and you're safe here, right? Which is pretty awesome.
You're like a professional ass or what?
Pretty much a pro.
But speaking of foreshadowing...
So we're saving the galaxy again?
I guess.
Awesome! We're really gonna be able to jack up our prices if we're two-time galaxy savers.
I seriously can't believe that's where your mind goes.
It's just a random thought, man. I thought we were friends. Of course I care about the planets and the buildings and all the animals on the planets.
And the people.
Happy Puppy's so cute, he makes me wanna die.
The grumpy puppy.
Yes.
This is, on first watch, just a joke.
Right.
Just a funny moment where, I don't care about the people. And then you watch Guardians 3 and it's like, oh, it's suddenly super profound even though it's still funny.
Yeah.
How do you foreshadow without telegraphing that you're foreshadowing?
Every moment needs to fit where it is, right? Like if you're using a moment for foreshadowing, cool, that's a bonus, but if that scene didn't feel natural and normal and you couldn't see that it was foreshadowing, it would be a failure.
Yeah.
Right? And so it just everything has to fit where it is. The foreshadowing has to be done subtly.
Yeah.
And it really helps with foreshadowing if you know where you're going.
It turns out.
That's a fake laugh.
It's real!
It is so obvious watching the third film that when James Gunn was offered, come in and do Marvel and do Guardians of the Galaxy, no one knows who they are. They had like 2 runs that were silly in the comics. He has said that he went home and was like, I just don't want to do it. And then he started thinking about Rocket. And Rocket was his way in. And when you watch the trilogy, it becomes so obvious that what he really cared about the whole time was Rocket.
Yeah.
And he absolutely knew where he was going, to your point. And he is an excellent writer because excellent writing has scenes that accomplish more than one task without telling you, hey, 4 things are happening right now.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you said that wasn't bad crazy!
Well, and in the moment, the primary purpose is to entertain the audience with some fun banter.
This is what I love about James Gunn. The primary purpose is always to entertain the audience. Whether it's like alien guts exploding everywhere or fun banter or, fun sci-fi visuals. It's always what's fun. And then also, how can we foreshadow? How can we build character? How can we,
smuggle in some character and some meaning and some actual story.
We don't even realize that we're being set up for something until we get there and we realize we see everything else in a different light, like this.
Then we have to go to nowhere now.
Wrong. Where we have to go is Nidavellir.
That's a made-up word.
All words are made up.
Nidavellir? Seriously? I mean, that place is a legend. They make the most powerful, horrific weapons to ever torment the universe. I would very much like to go there, please.
Rabbit is correct and clearly the smartest among you.
Rabbit?
Only Eitri the dwarf can make me the weapon I need. I assume you're the captain, sir?
You're very perceptive.
You seem like a noble leader. Will you join me on my quest to Nidavellir?
Let me just ask the captain. Oh, wait a second. It's me. Yeah, I'll go.
Wonderful.
Except that I'm the captain.
Quiet.
That's my backpack.
Go sit down.
Look, this is my ship, and I'm not going to... Wait, what kind of weapon are we talking about here?
The Thanos killing kind.
Don't you think that we should all have a weapon like that?
The strength to wield them. Your bodies would crumple as your minds collapsed into madness.
Is it weird that I want to do it even more now?
A little bit.
We're watching this, and none of us, or at least I didn't realize that I was being set up for Rocket to actually be the captain.
Right.
And I love when he tells Quill to sit down.
That's my backpack.
Go sit down.
So as far as Rocket's trauma healing, he's fully stepping into leadership even though no one's bequeathed leadership to him.
He's just taking it.
Yeah, he's like, sure, this fits. But it's all about serving and helping people. It's all about family. We see that in Endgame. When he loses everybody, what does he do? He doesn't go sail around the galaxy pulling heists and finding a new crew. He stays and he becomes an Avenger.
Right.
Because even though half the universe is lost, what has he learned? He's learned to connect and to serve. And he's still a sarcastic SOB.
Sure.
But his heart's in the right place, right?
Hope Daddy isn't as big of a dick as you, orphan boy.
That's so important for all those characters, that they can be hard-edged, you know? They can be funny and smart and hard-edged and still be like good inside. You know? Like there's something healthy inside, and there they are guarding the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Despite all the crustiness on the exterior.
One other thing that we learn in this scene, Thor is weirdly perceptive for being a big himbo. He immediately figures out that Rocket is the smartest guy in the room, which we've seen little flashes of. Obviously he's like a mechanical genius. He can invent weapons out of anything. Thor immediately goes, oh, you're the smartest guy in the room. And we learn in Guardians 3, this is more foreshadowing, that he's the smartest guy in most rooms.
Yeah.
Even in the MCU, which has a lot of really smart people.
Yeah.
The High Evolutionary did most of what he did in that movie because he wanted Rocket's brain.
Well, we see in Endgame who constructs the gauntlet, and is Tony, Bruce, and Rocket. Boom! That leads us to Guardians 3. They bring everybody back. Now they're Guardians again. And we finally get into Rocket's tragic backstory, which we see him tortured. We see him, not even like the physical torture, as terrible as that is, the psychological torture of the High Evolutionary treating Rocket like someone that he loves and reveres and being sweet to him when he's really not loving and sweet to him and is just going to kill all his friends and is just using him, right? It's just, you could see why Rocket has such issues with trust in the first film.
Yeah.
Right? And he trusts Groot because Groot, like his animal friends, is simple and sweet and kind. It doesn't have a malicious bone in his body. Rocket has learned to distrust people. But he forms this beautiful little community.
Lila.
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 That's a pretty name, Lila.
Thank you.
I think my name shall be Thieves. Because although we all do have them, mine are definitely the most prominent.
Teefs.
Lila.
Teefs.
The choice to make him some...
Because me is lying on floor. Lying on the floor. So your name is Floor?
The choice to make Teefs a goofy British guy is so weird.
What about you, friend?
Someday, I'm gonna make great machines that fly. And me and my friends are gonna go flying together into the forever and beautiful sky. Lila, and Teefs, and Floor, and me. Rocket.
Rocket. It really is good to have friends.
Yeah.
So, psychologically, there is a full circle. Rocket starts innocent and good.
Mm-hmm.
And his name Rocket is not born out of trauma, it's his true self. He creates, he soars, he connects.
Yep.
And what he wants to do with his life, I want to build amazing flying machines and soar into the sky with my friends, is what he does. Just sadly not with these friends. And because of trauma, he loses himself. He becomes bitter, he becomes jaded. He lives in self-preservation and self-defense. And he loses kind of that light that he had inside of him. And the only one who sees that is Groot. His journey in the Guardians mirrors real-life trauma journeys, traveling from victim to survivor to advocate and then to hero. And the heroic part of him is trauma is part of my history, but it doesn't define me.
Right.
That I can still have this dream that I wanted to have.
And it's such a great clincher at the end of the movie. You know, he sees these raccoons in the lab and sees the scientific name and, like, in a full circle kind of way, can come back home to where he started and what he originally was.
Yeah.
You know, even though now he's become something totally new, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You still have a purpose here.
A purpose for what? They made us for nothing. The stupid experiments to be thrown away.
There are the hands that made us, and then there are the hands that guide the hands. My beloved raccoon. This story has been yours all along. You just didn't know it.
James Gunn talking to the audience.
I'm not a raccoon.
The passkey's going through.
So lifelike. He always has been. The CGI,
the visual effects work on Rocket is really top notch.
Yeah.
And it's done by a bunch of different visual effects houses too. It's not just one place.
Wow.
And the vocal work by Bradley Cooper, always fantastic.
Yes.
Even Gamora B can't help it.
That's right.
The Guardians films are all about shared trauma. I mean, every character has different trauma, but they all arrive in that first film kind of broken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And it's that community that heals. Dr. Irwin Yalom in his book Love's Executioner says that it's the relationship that heals. And he's talking specifically about therapy. He says, yes, learn your techniques and modalities, whatever, but if you're not actually connecting in a vulnerable, real, authentic way, you're not going to help anybody. We are social creatures. We need not just to be loved, but to give love. And the damned thing about trauma is that we start to deprive ourselves of community because we feel like people can't be trusted and they will hurt us. And just how vital it is to learn how to trust and who to trust and to slowly be vulnerable with the right people. And I think this is such a powerful, beautiful journey for Rocket because he is a hero, because he is somebody who gives and who serves and who leads, and he always has been. This is where James Gunn wanted it to go all along, and this is why he did these films, is because he wanted to take this broken down, traumatized character and make him a hero.
They signal that at the start of the movie, making it really clear that all these guys are misfits. All these guys are broken, and we're going to let Rocket symbolize that for everybody. And then the whole story becomes, for all those characters, well, if we can save Rocket,
maybe we can save ourselves.
Maybe we can be saved. You are the lead guy for all the pain of all these characters and how it can be. Perhaps there's redemption there still, you know.
People complain that everything we have now is superhero movies and that it leads to always telling the same story over and over again. And there's maybe some validity to that complaint, but as a rebuttal to that, I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
We're gonna need to have a real discussion about your language.
A giant multinational corporation spent $200 million to give a crazy guy, James Gunn, carte blanche to tell a story about a cartoon, swearing, talking, murderous raccoon. And it made all of us cry. This is the power of cinema. This is why I love it. And I'm in awe of movies like this that are able to take silly ideas and make them powerful emotional journeys.
Yeah. It's the emotional truth that we all relate to, right? That human element. Where can people find your work, find what you're up to and what you've got going on?
Yeah, you can get the basics at brandonmull.com. Mm-hmm. I just completed a series called Dragon Watch, which was kind of a sequel series to my original series, Fable Haven. Then if you want to track me down on Instagram, it's Brandon Mull, M-U-L-L, Instagram or Facebook. I mean, you can get other details that way.
I just keep imagining you waking up in the morning, sir, looking in the mirror, and in all seriousness saying to yourself, you know what would be a really kick-ass name? Taserface! That's how I hear you in my head! I can't take it anymore. What was your second choice? Scrotum hat?